because he who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. Amen. Alrighty, so we are going to go to text 375 in the new book, 350 in the old book. And the title is The Basis of the Dream, because I know we talk about this being a dream, we talk about it being an illusion, but it's still hard to wrap our heads around that and live it from that place. So I found this section and I thought it was a nice recap of the concept of the dream from the perspective of the Course. So paragraph number 1, does not a world that seems quite real arise in dreams? Yet think what this world is. It is clearly not the world you saw before you slept. Rather, it is a distortion of the world planned solely around what you would have preferred. Here, you are free to make over whatever seems to attack you and change it into a tribute to your ego, which was outraged by the attack. This would not be your wish unless you saw yourself as one with the ego, which always looks upon itself and therefore on you as under attack and highly vulnerable to it. So Jesus starts right out with, does not a world that seems quite real arise in dreams? And we know in our nighttime dreams, while you're dreaming, it feels real. And I guess they put electrodes on people while they're dreaming. And if somebody's chasing them, the heartbeat will increase and the blood pressure and whatnot, because it feels very real while you're in it. And we know when you wake up from a dream, you go, oh my goodness, I'm glad that one wasn't real. And basically what Jesus is saying in this paragraph is the same thing about our nighttime or our daytime dream. One day we will awaken from this dream and we'll go, oh, thank goodness that wasn't real. But as we know, we're very caught in it at this point, and we live it as though it were real. Yet think what this world is. And if you look through the lens of the dualistic concept, which is what the Course is always trying to focus in on, and we know that this world is dualistic, which means there's good and bad. And I can, buy a brand new car and walk, drive out of the driveway. And the moment I drive out of the driveway, I'm thinking, well, is somebody going to hit my car? I have to park it really far away, make sure it's okay. So even with the good comes the immediate response of the downward part of the roller coaster ride. And so much of the Course is about looking and observing and paying attention to what this world is about. A lot of it is to hone in on the realization that that's how this world is set up. Why is it I have, or you got a new guy on your arm and then some other girl walks by and starts checking them out, then you're not too happy. And immediately there's always that down that comes with the up.
It's like a roller coaster.
It's definitely a roller coaster ride, yeah. And that is because of the dualistic aspect of the dream. It is clearly not the world you saw before you slept. So he's telling us before you fell asleep and dreamed the dream of duality, this is not at all what you saw. You saw a completely different world and had a completely different experience. Rather, it is a distortion of the world planned solely around what you would have preferred. And this, underline that word in your book. This is something we preferred. We preferred the ego, the illusion over what God gave us. And Jesus doesn't mince with words of reminding us this was our choice.
Because I prefer being an individual over nothing.
That is correct. And this is what we got as a result of that. And we have to continually put in the formula, if being an individual brings the roller coaster ride and I'm not too happy with the roller coaster ride now that I realize that's what I bought, do I want to continue on the roller coaster ride and maintain my individuality, or do I want to find another way. And that's the choice. With individuality comes duality, because there was a God and now there's a me. So that's where the duality began.
Yeah, subconsciously, I want it.
And absolutely subconsciously we want it,
That's
yes.
the way it is.
Not only did we make that choice, we are reinforcing that choice, whether we're
Exactly.
consciously aware of it or not. You are free to make over whatever seemed to attack you and charge it, or excuse me, and change it into a tribute to your ego, which was outraged by the, am I reading all? I better start all over. Okay, let's try that again. It is clearly, all right. Here you are free, and notice the word free is in quotes. That always represents the ego's freedom. It's not the truth's freedom. So here you are free to make over whatever seemed to attack you and change it into a tribute to your ego, which was outraged by the attack. So we are free to make the world anything we want, and then we're outraged by what it is that we put in the dream. You know, I give the example oftentimes, if we were all still in school and you went to your English class and your teacher said, I want you to write a story about dualism and bring it back on Monday. That story would have good and bad, right and wrong, up and down, and so on. But we want our brother to attack us so that we're justified to attack. And that's how we stay the sweet little innocent victim that we're really not, by having chosen for the ego. But that's the game we continue to play.
Yeah, we want him to be guilty, and we keep our individuals.
And our innocence.
Right.
Yes, yes. This would not be your wish unless you saw yourself as one with the ego, which always looks upon itself and therefore on you as under attack and highly vulnerable to it. So in the dualistic belief system, we are always going to be vulnerable, and we're always going to be attacked in some way, form. And before class, a couple of us were talking, and we were commenting about, even if the other individual isn't really attacking me, I will perceive it as an attack and then attack back as well. So somehow it's going to present itself that I'm being attacked and I'm an innocent victim. And if whatever person, situation, or thing is out there, if that would go away, I could be okay. When in essence, it doesn't have anything to do with this. It has to do with which part of the mind is engaged. And if this is here, somehow, some form is going to present itself here. And I could have an issue with Monique and finally resolve that, and then I'm going to turn my projector somewhere else, and I'm going to see another one, and another one, and another one. Because it's the projector that's faulty. It's not the characters that portray that. Not that the characters don't often portray it, because they do. But how do you respond to how they portray it?
Doesn't the Course say that defense is like an attack against
Absolutely
truth?
does, yes. We'll go into that sometime in the future, but yes, definitely that is correct. All right, number 2. Dreams are chaotic because they are governed by your conflicting wishes. 1 second here, let me mute everybody, because I see some people are making noise. All right, dreams are chaotic because they are governed by your conflicting wishes, and therefore they have no concern with what is true. They are the best example you could have of how perception can be utilized to substitute illusions for truth. You do not take them seriously on awakening because the fact that reality is so outrageously violated in them becomes apparent. Yet, they are a way of looking at the world and changing it to suit the ego better. They provide striking examples both of the ego's inability to tolerate reality and of your willingness to change reality on its behalf. So dreams are chaotic because they are governed by your conflicting wishes, and therefore they have no concern with what is true. So if you're choosing for duality, you have no concern for what is true. You are literally saying, I want conflict. I want chaos. And that's what we're going to get. And again, most of us don't have a conscious memory of having chosen to separate from the love of God. In fact, I would say probably none of us do. But the Course would say, yes, it's true, you don't remember that, but are you continuing to respond to the world as if it is real? And then when you're doing that, you are literally saying, I do believe the world is real.
We live a forgetful dream.
We live a forgetful dream because we want to.
That's what we want.
And as the Course talks about Jesus dying on the cross, and his only response to whatever was done to him was teach only love, for that is what you are. Because if you're coming from love, nothing could come out of you but love. And anything that's still in there that is not of love is what we need to look at and question. Is that really where I want to live from now? And just because we want to live from there doesn't mean the rest of me is aligned with that and on top of that game. In fact, it may take quite some time before you can come to the place where you're always only responding from a place of love. But as you look or observe your responses, you then can become aware, oh, I guess that one wasn't quite as loving as I thought it was. And then step back and go, all right, I need to look at this and become aware that that's not where I want to be anymore.
But sometimes you can say something to a person that's not the loving, and that's exactly what that person needed to hear at that time.
That may be correct, Bob, and I would say, especially in our beginning steps of this, but you see, you can say something that is something that other person may need to say, may need to hear, but if you're coming from something other than love, you are making something other than love a part of the world and you're recycling it. So you can, I mean, like, you know, they talked about Jesus turning over the tables and whatever. But if you understand, if he was coming from love when he did that, even though people may have assumed that that was attack, it wasn't attack. And if you're coming from love, you may say something that might put somebody in line, I guess you could say, but it's really coming from that inner part of you that is expressing love. It's a fine line, and we can't decipher this on the outside a lot of times.
You know, it's in the world, but not of it.
In
That-
the world,
that
but not of it.
attitude.
Absolutely.
You're acting just like the rest of us act, similarly.
Sure.
However, in another part of your mind, you're answering their call for love.
Exactly. Yes. Yep. And again, initially, I don't think we're that clear that we're always responding. We're not clear if I'm really responding for love. But I have experienced that as you move along, you will have this sense of stillness within, and then whatever comes out will be the right thing to say. And then I don't evaluate it after it's out there.
That would be as opposed to judging the behavior.
Correct. Yep.
Only behavior is form.
Right. All right. They are the best example you could have of perception can be utilized to substitute illusions for truth. So when we become aware that I am playing in duality, you know for sure you're not playing in truth. It's just not, it's not possible. Again, one or the other. There's no crossover between them. And if I'm coming from a place of attack, we need to start to recognize if I'm coming from attack, I'm putting God under the bus. And I'm not aligning with truth. And as we begin to, again, look or observe more and more frequently, and you recognize that you're coming from that place, it's very important to be very gentle with yourself and not attack yourself because you're not coming from love, because now I know the Course, and the Course says I'm not supposed to do that. Observe it, be aware of it, smile at it, and go, of course, what would a good little ego do?
You see
Don't make,
exactly where you're
right,
at.
don't make a big deal about it, correct. All right, So you do not take them seriously on awakening because the fact that reality is so outrageously violated in them becomes apparent. We've all had dreams where you wake up and you think, oh my goodness, what was in my head last night that I could possibly have an experience like that in my dream? Well, I mean, if we really look at this physical world through the lens of the Course, it says, I've chosen this. How many times would you look at the world and say, oh my goodness, I chose this? And I know many people in the group have said that many times throughout the years, because that doesn't look like what I think I would want to conjure up and put in the world. And it's not about coming from Mary Ann specifically, it's about coming from the thought system. When we choose this thought system, we're going to get duality, unequivocally. That's what's going to come of that. When you choose from this, you could see the very same scenario or situation, but you will see it through the lens of love, not through the lens of attack and hate. So I think it's a little hard initially to wrap our heads around exactly what that's all about, but as you keep practicing, it does become much more clear and easier to work with. How do I want to add to that? Yep, nothing's coming, so we'll move on, but I think I'll read that again. All right, so you do not take them seriously on awakening, but don't we take the world seriously all the time? And that's because we haven't awakened to the daytime dream. We still think the nighttime dream is a dream, the daytime dream is reality. And the Course would say both of them are equally the same, as this will continue to discuss as we go along.
Yeah, but as long as we identify as the body, that's exactly where we head to.
Exactly, and that's the key. We have to
Yes.
learn to identify with the mind more and
That's
more
right.
instead of the body, yes. You do not take them seriously on awakening because the fact that reality is so outrageously violated in them becomes apparent. Well, our daytime dream has not become apparent that it's a dream yet. And that, again, is a great reason why we look and why we observe and why we pay attention to what's going on, is because I'm still in the thought system that the world has great reality to me. And the whole idea of the healed mind is to recognize that none of this is real. Not just as a phrase that I say with my mouth, but as an internal recognition that what the world is not true. And as Harvey said a few minutes ago, then you would be walking through the world, in the world, but not of the world, because you would really be coming from a place of knowing this world is not real. And the rest of the time, we're wannabes of that experience, but we haven't caught up to that yet. Yet they are a way of looking at the world and changing it to suit the ego better. And the ego is all about, let's make a world where I can always perpetually be an innocent victim, and I don't really care how it works out or what the form that gets presented. As long as I'm an innocent victim, I keep this scenario going. I can forget that I was the one that was responsible, and I don't have to go back to the oneness of God, because I'm afraid to go back to the oneness of God because I can't be in charge then. And as long as I really want to be in charge, there's no room for God. He's under the bus, as we keep saying. Not a pretty visual.
But he doesn't care.
He doesn't care. No, only we care. Yes, good point, Andrea. Yes.
There's no one back.
Right, there you
There's no
go.
bus.
There's no bus,
Bus
correct.
in God.
But we think there is. That's the trick. They provide striking examples both of the ego's inability to tolerate reality and of your willingness to change reality on its behalf. So again, we're the ones that want it this way. And the Course is hugely about becoming aware. This is the package you ordered from Amazon, and it's coming to your door exactly as you ordered it. We have to get a little smarter here, examine the package, and if it's not the package you want anymore, send it back. And the way you send it back is to ask for healing of your mind, to see it through his lens and not yours. As long as you sit on the stump in your house and you complain about the package and what got delivered and how flawed it is and how terrible and how awful and how anything you want to add to it, you're not solving the problem. You're whining about what you set up that you really don't want to let go of yet. And that's, we get real wrapped in that, and it's real easy to come from that place. But as long as we're playing that game, nothing can be healed. As long as I'm, going back and forth with anything within the world, I'm saying, I got this under control, God. I'll see you another day because I'm kind of busy right now.
Marion?
Yeah.
And you have to open the package and look at it.
You have to open the package and look at it and become aware of how flawed it is. And then question, is this what I want to continue to order? And before we had the Course or some spirituality that has shared this kind of knowledge, we didn't know I had the option to send the package back and that there was another package I could order. We all really thought we were an innocent victim of the package that got delivered. And we didn't know we were the ones that literally ordered it. So it's a beautiful thing. It's painful to watch sometimes because we're so used to pointing the finger and making it about something or somebody else that we're real comfortable with pointing that finger.
That's where further judgment comes in.
Of course.
And the Course is asking us, look at the mistake you made without judgment.
Yes, exactly. We have to look without judgment. Just look at it and recognize this is a result of what having chosen the ego
You
is.
turn like you're heading to Canada and you want to go to Florida.
Correct.
You're going to turn around.
Correct. Yep. All right, paragraph number 3. You do not find the differences between what you see in sleep and on awakening disturbing. You recognize that what you see on waking is blotted out in dreams. Yet on awakening, you do not expect it to be gone. In dreams, you arrange everything. People become what you would have them be, and what they do, you order. No limits on substitutions are laid upon you. For a time, it seems as if the world was given you to make it what you wish. You do not realize you are attacking it, trying to triumph over it and make it serve you. So we don't find the differences between what you see in sleep and on awakening disturbing. We don't get that the nighttime, the daytime dream are actually exactly the same, and they're coming from the same mind that's producing the dualistic effect within the world. You recognize that what you see on awakening is blotted out in dreams. Well, my nighttime dreams, I wake up, I realize they're not real. Yay, thank goodness they're not real. Do I ever come to that awareness in my daytime dreams? Not very often. The Course is trying to help us to become aware of it from that perspective.
The dream is really bad.
Well, and usually that's the motivation when it's really bad,
Right.
Bob. Absolutely, yes. All right. Yet on awakening, you do not expect it to be gone. Do I expect this world to be gone when I wake up in the morning? That would probably scare the shit out of us, quite literally. We don't expect it, and we probably don't want it for that matter. But we do want, as Bob said, if it's really bad, we do want my dream to become, my daytime dream to become nicer. That's what we really want. Make the down of the up of the roller coaster ride go away, and I'll be perfectly happy being in the dream of separation forever. The Course doesn't offer that, and neither does anything else. And that's why oftentimes people will pray to a God and ask God to come and fix the things of their world. The Course is very much not in line with that, because if I'm asking God to come and fix the world, first of all, I kicked God out because I didn't want God. It talks about the world was made as an attack upon God. I don't want God to come in my world. I want him to stay over here where he is, because I don't want to have anything to do with him, really. But I do want my world to be a better place. it's not going to work that way. And I think all of us have tried. You know, how many ways have we tried to manipulate the world to hopefully bring it in to have something change, only to turn your head and there's another thing that shows up in your experience. And it's just this constant, one after another experiences that seemingly are attacking us. All right, yet on awakening, you do not expect it to be gone. In dreams, you arrange everything, and that's your daytime dream as well as your nighttime dream. You arrange everything. But I think it's really important to recognize when it says you arrange everything. It's not Mary Ann, the you. It is the Son of God who aligned with one or the other thought system. So by choosing this, you automatically arrange the effect that's going to bring a dualistic story. People become what you would have them be, and what they do, you order. So if you think you're an innocent victim of somebody in the world, understand that both of these characters come from your mind. Just like when you're coming from this mind, both of the characters are coming from that mind as well. So if you don't like what your brother's doing, you can't attack him and badger him or whatever. You need to go back to where the cause is. Ask that to be healed. And then you'll begin to see your brother as the same instead of different. But as long as I want duality in any form, my brother's going to show up because I ordered it that way. Again, we ordered the catalog, from the catalog. We are getting exactly what we asked for. Isn't that delightful? No limits on substitution are laid upon you. So, look at our world. Even compared to 5 years ago, doesn't it look like insanity is increasing by the moment? It was insane before. The form is obviously different, but insanity is ruling the world everywhere we look. No limit, for a time it seems as if the world were given you to make it what you wish. Well, we have made it what we wish. And I know a lot of times people will come from the positive thinking kind of thing, and not that I don't think there's a place for that, but if I'm taking the world and I'm making it a more positive place, I'm still the one that's doing it. Versus, I don't know what the answer is. You show me what the answer is, which means I have to drop everything within the illusion and ask to see it differently. You do not realize you are attacking it, trying to triumphant over it, and make it serve you. And again, we're not aware that we're attacking it and trying to have it triumph over the world. And again, another valuable reason why we do need to look, we do need to observe what is the effect of having chosen for the separation for the ego. Unless I become consciously aware of what the ego's up to, I'm going to play in that party and I won't even know I'm playing in the party. So it's very helpful, very valuable, and very necessary to keep looking and keep observing. And I assure you, there are things today you won't recognize that in 5 years you'll go, oh my gosh, I thought I had it together, but look, there's another layer of crap that I wasn't aware of. All right, now you're just going to love the next line. Dreams are perpetual temper tantrums in which you literally scream, I want it thus. And thus it's
childhood and see how you treated your parents.
Same deal.
Yeah, same deal.
Same deal. We're all little kids in the playground playing the same stupid games. And thus it seems to be. And yet the dream cannot escape its origin. Anger and fear pervade it, and in an instant the illusion of satisfaction is invaded by the illusion of terror. For the dream of your ability to control reality by substituting a world that you prefer is terrifying. Your attempts to blot out reality are very fearful, but this you are not willing to accept. And so you substitute the fantasy that reality is fearful, not what you want to do, not what you would do to it, and thus is guilt made real. All right, so back to line number 1. Dreams are perpetual temper tantrums in which you literally scream, I want it thus. So the next time you're in the midst of chaos and craziness, remind yourself of this line. This is what I want. Not easy, because that's not my experience. And again, not as Mary Ann, but as the Son of God choosing for the ego, that the puppet called Mary Ann will automatically play out as when this is in line. So again, this is what I want. This is what I've chosen. I am responsible for what I see. I choose the feelings I experience and decide upon the goal I would achieve. And everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for and receive as I have asked.
Yeah, and then read the next slide.
I don't have it with me.
Deceive yourself.
Oh,
no
deceive
longer.
yourself no longer that this is being done to you. Yes. Yeah. And again, that is not our natural flow of reaction when anything in the world happens to us. I think some of us that have been studying the Course a little longer, every once in a while that may pop up in our awareness. But our natural response is, you, it, they, them, that is my problem.
That's automatic.
It's
That's
automatic.
automatic thought system.
Yes, and then we recycle into the pit of whatever that storyline is, and we get very lost for days, months, years, probably lifetimes. And the answer is stop, drop the story, align with what the answer is. And until that's done, it's going to continue to recycle over and over and over. And thus it seems to be, and isn't that the way our world is? It does seem to be that I have a good reason to have a temper tantrum. And I literally can get millions or billions of people behind me to agree with me on top of it. Isn't that delightful? It still will not bring you peace. And yet the dream cannot escape its origin. So I can't escape the origin. As long as this is in gear, the dream of insanity is going to recycle or fall down or rain down from this thought system. It's a no-brainer. It can't be anything else. And that's why we have to really get that literally having chosen for the ego, the good, bad, and the ugly of the ego all still fits in the same package. All right. Anger and fear pervaded, and in an instant the illusion of satisfaction is invaded by the illusion of terror. So if this thought system is based on guilt, sin, and fear, separation, kill or be killed, what could possibly be the babies of this thought system other than some form of that gets played out in the world? Can't be anything else. It's impossible. So that's why, we all have that underlying uncertainty. There's something wrong with me. When's the next shoe gonna fall? Any form of anything where I'm not every moment coming from a place of certainty and peace. It's a representation of what has been chosen. And again, how do I know what's been chosen? Look at how I respond to the world. Pay attention to how I respond to the world. Because someone coming from this side of the chart is not going to attack, is not going to hate, is not going to judge, is not going to feel upset or irritated or any of the other adjectives that the ego entails. Because you're coming from love. You're no longer coming from anger or fear or guilt or sin or fear or all the other adjectives that live so happily on the ego side. Again, we paid an extremely high price to be an ego, to be separate, to be on our own. We lost our connection with love and got the total opposite. And that's the package we have to continue
Yeah, but I
to
still
look at.
got my individuality.
Well,
And I'm the center of attention.
yes, sir, you are. And as long as that's what I value more, there's no question that's going to run the show. And, I know we've shared this before many times. You may be in the midst of a conflict with somebody, and you may get that voice in your head because you've been a good little student that says, you could choose love instead of this. And your answer may be, nope, not ready for that. And that's perfectly
Yeah, that's
fine.
honest.
That's perfectly fine, and that is honest, because you're not, excuse the expression, bullshitting yourself anymore. You recognize, okay, I know, I have that choice, I'm not choosing it, so okay, that's where I choose to be now, and that's okay. But the honesty of that moment will take you sooner to the choice for choosing connection,
You get a step
because
closer.
you're not playing the game of, I don't understand why the angels aren't coming down from the sky to get me because I am so holy and so pure and so whatever. As you begin to become aware that you're not so holy, you're not so pure, you're responding out of attack almost all the time, whether it's physically with words or punching someone, or if it's
Or
just
it's a
those
thought.
delightful thoughts that are churning around in your brain all the time. Because if you really look at them, they're really not all that loving and kind and loving and sweet and whatnot. Yeah. But again, we need to become aware that having chosen for the ego is always going to bring anger and fear and all the other adjectives of the ego. So stop being so darn surprised when they keep happening that way.
Just don't justify.
Don't justify them, correct. For the dream of your ability to control reality by substituting a world that you prefer is terrifying. And it's terrifying because we chose the opposite of who and what we are, and we now live in a world that's the total opposite of what love is. How could that be perceived as anything but terrifying? It would be impossible. And if we really could understand unequivocally, this is absolutely, positively the opposite of what we are in truth. Not just a little bit here and there, opposite of absolutely everything. Then we would be a little bit sharper on turning it around. All right. Your attempts to blot out reality are very fearful, but this you are not willing to accept. We don't want to own that what I see in my brother is what I unequivocally want in the world. I want to play the part of the innocent victim. Then I don't have to go back to oneness, and I can remain the hero of my dream, and I can be in control. And everything's good, except for someone is going to come and nudge me, poke me, yell at me, whatever, and then I'm going to have to deal with the next scenario that comes down the pike. And if you think about this as looking in a mirror, if I'm a little child and I'm looking in the mirror and I stick my tongue out at the mirror and I say to my mom, somebody's sticking their tongue out at me. Your mom would say, well, put your tongue back in your mouth, right? Well, that's literally what we're being asked to do. Put your tongue back in your mouth. In other words, put your thought system down and line up with what truth is instead. And so you substitute the fantasy that reality is fearful, not what you would do to it. So we'd rather have the fantasy instead of the reality. And as long as we want the fantasy, we're going to get the fantasy. And we're going to complain about the fact that I don't like the fantasy. Except for, a few nice little things that pop up within the illusion, which are always so captivating, because we keep thinking, if I just had a little bit of this or a little bit of that, then everything will be okay. But it always comes with a drop at the end. And thus is guilt made real. And it's made real because I want it to be real via the choice for separation. It's like when you buy this package, you get all the things that are, when you order something, it'll give you the details of the product, and it'll tell you what fabric it is or whatever it is you're ordering, and so on and so forth. This is what you order. Yes. Yes. Yes, and the adjectives on the left side here are hate, form, void, emptiness, illusion, uncertainty, death, dread, time, guilt, chaos, fear, lack, intense pain, and then special love and special hate relationships. That's what you buy. That's the fine print on having chosen for the ego. So again, we're being asked to look and observe that that's what I'm getting, and not be pulled into, I'm getting that because of something else, someone else or something else. I'm getting that because that's exactly what my order is. And as we become acutely aware of that, we will begin to look at that and go, wait a minute, I like being an individual and special, but am I willing to continue to play in this arena with the results that come with that choice?
And the truth is yes.
Until it's no. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yep. And oftentimes, 90% of the time at least, it is.
At least
Yep.
you're being honest.
But you're being honest, yes. All right, so dreams show you that you have a power to make a world as you would have it be, and that because you want it, you see it. And while you see it, you do not doubt that it is real. Yet, here is a world clearly within your mind that seems to be outside. You do not respond to it as though you made it, nor do you realize that the emotions the dream produces must come from you. It is the figures in the dream and what they do that seems to make the dream. You do not realize that you are making them act out for you. For if you did, the guilt would not be theirs, and the illusion of satisfaction would be gone. In dreams, these features are not obscure. You seem to awaken, and dreams are gone. Yet what you fail to recognize is that what caused the dream has not gone with it. Your wish to make another world that is not real remains with you. And what you seem to awaken to is but another form of the same world you see in dreams. All your time is spent in dreaming. Your sleeping and your waking dreams have different forms, that is all. Their content is the same. They are your protest against reality and your fixed and insane idea that you can change it. In your waking dreams, the special relationship has a special place. It is the means by which you try to make your sleeping dreams come true. From this, you do not waken. The special relationship is your determination to keep your hold on unreality and to prevent yourself from waking. And while you see more value in sleeping than in waking, you will not let go of it. Alrighty, so dreams show you that you have the power to make a world as you would have it be. So he's reminding us what you see in the world is exactly what you would want it to be. And I think it's workbook 23 talks about the 3 steps to undoing this. Step number 1 is to recognize you want this. You made it. Of course you want it. You know, how many little kids will draw a picture and they'll say, Mommy, put this on the refrigerator. And, you got to keep that picture there for who knows how long because they're so proud of what they made. Well, we're also proud of what we made on some level. But, again, if I continue to want until I understand what the effects of choosing against that love is, of course I'll want to be in control. That was a big price to, that was a big choice. But when I start to become aware of what the cost is, the awareness and then the decision that, you know what, I don't want to play in the sandbox anymore. This is not worth it. And you will literally have moments where you may be walking up to someone to attack them, and suddenly a thought will come into your mind of, why go there? And it can drop just like that, after some practice, of course. But it can start to shift in ways like that, where suddenly it's like, I don't want to go there anymore. The price is too high.
It serves no one.
And it serves
Even
no
if
one.
I win.
Yes. Yep. All right, so again, we have to get it in our minds, even if we don't completely understand it or live it, that I am literally seeing exactly what I want via the choice of me wanting to be separate and an individual. And while you see it, you do not doubt that it is real. I mean, let's face it, you know, so many of us have been in the course for 20, 30, 40 years, and we still think the world is real. It's just the way it's set up. How could it, you know, I stubbed my toe. That feels real. Yet here is a world clearly within your mind that seems to be outside. And, you know, if you think about, again, the projector, we all know unequivocally when I go to the movie theater that there is nobody on the screen. You know, my favorite character is not on the screen. He's not in the room. Elvis left already, you know. But it's coming from the film that's in front of the light that is being projected onto the screen. You don't go up to the screen with a knife if you don't like the play or the movie. You go to the projection, take out the film and put in a different film, or go to another movie that has a different film being played. So if we keep working on recognizing it's coming from the cause, not the effect. All right, so again, what we see on the outside is coming from what's inside, and what's inside is either this choice or this choice. So look at the effects. Which one of the parts of my mind is engaged? If I'm not at peace, it's this one. If I'm at peace, it's this one. You do not respond to it as though you made it, nor do you realize that the emotions realize that the emotions the dream produce must come from you. And I think this is a really important line, because, I mean, I know for years I struggled with, but my emotions feel real, you know, that's just the way it is. And of course, it's set up to feel real. And it's set up, again, via the choice. I could not have emotions that are anything but love or peace unless it was coming from that thought system.
And you just read, you get exactly what you want.
Yes, indeed. But as you're playing the part in the character and you're looking through the words of the Course, you wonder what the heck it could possibly be talking about. But as you become aware of the fact that once this is engaged, this is the popcorn that's going to be produced via that choice. And it's gonna feel like it's real in your experience. And it's definitely set up so that it would. And that you would never question that the problem is in this,
Yeah.
not out
In the
here.
dream it is real, but it's still an illusion.
Correct. But we never even, you know, thought of that as a possibility. We just knew it was real, that's reality, and I've got to deal with it. Somebody hurt my feelings. It's not about me. They hurt my feelings. And, you know, again, even those of us who've been studying for a long time, we can still have our feelings hurt. Even though intellectually we need to, you know, kind of bring it back to, wait a minute, I can't have lost my peace because of what anybody said or done unless I was aligned with the ego. And now we have a recourse, even if we still fall into the trap of responding the same old way that we normally do. But understand that, again, the emotions are coming from you, and as Harvey said, and we want it thus as well. I want to have a reason to be upset and point my finger at something or someone else out there. And again, this is not that easy to totally embrace. I get it. I've struggled with it myself, but it does, for me, it's the only thing that really connects the dots to an understanding beyond what I've ever been taught
Yeah,
before.
but underneath that is the thought in the mind to kill.
Of course it's to kill. It's always to kill, because I bought a package that said, first ingredients, kill or be killed, guilt, sin, and fear. Fine print. Here we are.
That's it.
It's not in the fine print, it's in the print.
We like to think it's so fine, I never saw it
Oh,
before.
I never saw
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't see the fine print, yeah. Yes, right.
There's nothing to really talk about, because
Yep.
it is true.
Yep. All right, it is the figures in the dream and what they do that seem to make the dream. And what is so much of our challenge in the world is what those damn other figures in the dream are doing, right? If they would do it right, then I could be okay. Well, I don't know how's that working in your dream. Not very well, I'm sure. You do not realize that you are making them act out for you, for if you did, the guilt would not be theirs, and the illusion of satisfaction would be gone. So what that basically means is if you get, they're acting out, when we've chosen this, both these characters, me included, are acting out as a result of this choice. So we're literally seeing exactly what we want, having chosen this. And we're going to then blame it on them, because I take on the identity of the sweet little adorable innocent victim, of course, and they do too on their side of the party. But the whole time, I get the satisfaction of being right. I get the satisfaction of being an individual, being special, being in charge of my life, and then I make my brother guilty of anything that I don't want to own. But this is saying, coming from your dream. And as we all know, in your nighttime dreams, when you wake up in the morning, where do all those characters go?
They're still in your mind.
They're still in your mind, as well as in your daytime dream as well. Again, we accept that in our nighttime dream. We are not grown into the acceptance of it in our daytime dreams. And we're so addicted to responding of attack with attack. It's our, kill or be killed. It's in our blood. And to start to pull back and wait, nope, we're not going there again. Takes some practice.
It's very difficult giving up those roles that we have of
Oh,
being
yeah.
a wonderful, loving, peaceful person who, it's.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're very, very attached to those roles, and when it comes,
Comes knocking, right? Mm-hmm.
It's terrifying.
Yes.
It's terrifying.
Yes, and again, that's why until we really get, I am responsible for what I see, I am going to be terrified every time one of those shows up, because I'm still playing from the part, I'm an innocent victim of something that's coming to me outside of me. And as I said, what you see outside is coming to you from you. And
it's not so easy to see.
oh, not so easy, no.
It's very, very skillful, very.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Way it just,
Very.
jump on
Just
you.
showing you the state of
You're
your
in
mind.
Well, at the same time, if you went to a concert pianist show or whatever, and then you sat in your chair and you thought, you know what, I don't want to do that. If you really want to do that, you've got to get a piano, you've got to get a teacher, and you've got to practice, and keep your focus on that's what I want. And it's really no different than this. Do I want this more than what I want thus, is this described at the beginning of the third or the fourth paragraph? What do I really want? Do I really want to know who I am as a child of God, or do I want to know who I am and perpetuate my illusion and be right?
And the effects will show you thus.
And the effects will show you thus. Yes.
Only when things are not going well in my ego.
Well, and that's usually a motivation, Bob. Absolutely. And those are times, then use that time. Okay, you tell me there's another way, show me what it is, because I'm a little willing now. And that's all he's asking, is in those moments of willingness.
See what you want.
Yep. All right. All right, again, I'm going to read this line. Yet what you fail to recognize is that what caused the dream has not gone with it. So whether it's my nighttime dream or my daytime dream, what caused it is coming with me, because it's in here. It's not out there. Your wish to make another world that is not real remains with you until you want the other more. And what you seem to waken to is but another form of this same world you see in dreams. So again, nighttime dream, daytime dream, exactly the same. And as he said before, the form is slightly different, but the cause and the catalyst for it to come forth are equally the same. All your time is spent in dreaming. Your sleeping and your waking dreams have different forms, that's all. Sorry about that. Wrong button. All right, sorry about that. All right. Your sleeping and your waking dreams have different forms, that's all. Their content is the same. And again, that's not our experience. So it's almost like you have to take the words of the Course and find a new space in your brain to encompass another way of thinking. You cannot hold the old way of thinking and then allow this to make room. That you have to start edging the other stuff out of the way. Can't hold the old story and hold the new story at the same time. All right, let's see. They are your protest against reality. I'm just going to stop there. Understand, this choice is a protest against reality. I want it thus. This is what I want.
Protest against God.
Protest
Because
against
you
God.
won't give
Not-
what I asked for.
Correct. Not only a protest against God, but a protest against who you really are. How sick is that, people? All right, so they are your protest.
I'm not an individual,
There you go.
and that's what I want most of all.
Apparently so, yep. They are your protest against reality and your fixed and insane idea that you can change it. And again, how can I, if I'm in charge, I can fix it. And this is what I fixed it, and this is what it looks like as I
If
fixed
I'm the dreamer, and I wrote the dream, I'm the only one that can change it.
it. Absolutely. In your waking dreams, the special relationship has a special place. And so again, the special relationships are special hate and special love relationships. And that's where we play out our game, of which very often it doesn't feel like it's me that chose this. It's you. And so we practice through the relationships that we have. It is the means by which you try to make your sleeping dreams come true. Again, rehashing the daytime or the nighttime dream, same as when we're waking and when we're sleeping. From this, you do not waken. So we don't awaken because we believe daytime dream is reality. There's reality beyond daytime dream, just like there is the daytime dream beyond the nighttime dream. All right, the special relationship is your determination to keep your hold on unreality and to prevent yourself from awakening. Because again, we get all wrapped in the special relationships and we play the games of special relationships. And as long as we're playing those, we are not choosing to connect with truth, what truth is. But as it has been said, we set this up as the ego. We now take what we set up and use it for a different purpose. Instead of using this for a justification to attack my brother, we now use this as a reminder, oh, I've lost my peace because of something that's happened in the world, and now I can make another choice. Okay, so we now use the setup of the ego, but use it to undo rather than continue to perpetuate. All right, and while you see more value in sleeping than in waking, you will not let go of it. So we have to become aware, what do I value the most? Do I want it thus, or do I want to release my my everything to find out what truth is? All right, let's take a break. Okay.
You know, I read a book called, the expectation effect.
Right.
And it kind of goes along with exactly what you said, because you, it's, how did you say it, let's see. We're always being asked, like my neighbor, for instance,
Right.
the other day, she's on a roll right now, she's on a rampage, and this is so mean to me. And I said to Mary Ann the other day, she makes me want to hurt her. And Mary Ann said, you want to hurt yourself. She makes you want to hurt yourself. And that really flipped around for me quite
Yep.
nicely. And getting back to what you expect, in the book it says you get exactly what you expect. And even if you don't know what's going on, you're still going to what you expect. You still expect the underlying beliefs or assumptions or wrong or right.
Yes.
Studies showing
Yes.
like the placebo effect, and that really applies here too. Because I'm hearing that's exactly what you're saying, and it's that underlying belief in this thing that we're addicted to.
Yep.
And so we are getting exactly what you would expect, and
Yep.
you do want to just bang your head against the wall because you say you don't, but it's the same with the expectation effect. I say I want something else, and I'm getting something else.
Yep.
So there's something else going
Yes.
on, and
Yep.
it's inside me.
Yes.
It's underneath there.
Right.
And I'll tell you, she makes it really hard for me to love her.
Well, and Kathleen, I think the answer to that is it's not your job to figure out how to love her. It's your job to take the story out of the way so you can ask the Holy Spirit how to be loved so you would automatically love her.
I'm still reacting, but yeah.
Well, and even if you're still reacting, even in the midst of the reaction, you can still stop and go, wait, Holy Spirit, this is not where I want to play anymore. Show me who I really am and show me who my brother is.
That's really the key. I don't
Yeah.
want to do this any longer.
Yes.
No, I
Right.
don't want to go there. No, no. Everything
Constant
is
no.
no.
And it's not easy for any of us. I mean, this is our natural flow. My flow is you attack me, I attack you. End of story. I'm finished. And this is, wait a minute, I mean, it's like a wild pony that you're trying to tame. Well, that horse is going to kick and scream, whatever horses do, flip and flop and whatever. And, if you keep working with it and working with it and working with it, you tame it and bring it to that stillness. No, it's you that's the wild stallion because you're responding to her. That's what you really have to look at.
I'm the wild stallion.
Yeah.
You're the wild stallion.
It always comes back
Always
to
letting
your
that energy
response.
rule.
Yes.
It's not who you are, you're letting that energy rule
It's
the
not bad.
situation.
Oh, she's
Good.
nasty.
So
Oh, she's
that-
nasty.
so
You
I'm
don't have
nasty
that.
too.
Oh.
Well, and the other thing you can also do, Kathleen, is what I call bringing it back to the drawing board. Is there anything in my life where I'm nasty and I'm attacking and I'm saying nasty things and I'm thinking nasty things? Because it doesn't even have to be saying or doing. It's, are those thoughts still present in my mind? And again, if those are there, just like we talked about the emotions and whatnot, then I'm coming from here.
Would I accuse myself of doing this?
Yes, I should be.
Ask yourself that question.
Yeah, Jason.
So Mary Ann,
That's where you gotta get
my
it.
understanding of karma is that basically it's a pattern. Whatever you're in is some sort of pattern in this
Sure.
lifetime. You're in this pattern and then you're going to have another lifetime and try to get out of that pattern and, it seems like the course is where you need to work out all of your patterns in one lifetime to get to the Holy Spirit.
No, you have to forgive all your unforgivenesses.
All you have is this moment to work on this. That's it. That's all you need to worry about. Just this moment.
Because karma doesn't really exist, karma's an
Correct.
ego.
Karma's,
It's just
right,
the hamster wheel of the ego.
correct.
Okay, I could totally relate to the
Right.
hamster wheel of the ego.
Yeah.
And I,
That's all karma
right.
is. It's
And I
not-
think if we looked at the word pattern, the pattern is one pattern. It's not multiple patterns. The forms in which it gets played out look like a whole lot of different things, but it's really one pattern that needs to be undone. And the rest of it's to keep us confused and chaotic and whatnot, and think, oh, I've got to fix this and this and this. When in essence, I only have to fix who's in charge. No matter how big or small or ugly or pretty or anything else it is, it's all the same. Did you have something, Andrea?
Just what you were talking about, Kathleen, that Jesus. Well, so my experience with my neighbor was that my spaces where I am hateful, couldn't accept her. I don't know what happened, and so what's been interesting to me is that the first thing that happened for me when I ran in the house was that I realized that it was ridiculous and I laughed, so that was helpful. And after that, I just had to take myself where I was at because I didn't want to be outside with her. And the Holy Spirit and Kurt said, you don't have to be outside with her. I didn't do anything wrong when I didn't want to be outside with her. If I would have yelled at her or something, I would have felt even worse. But instead, inside of me was going, oh, I can't stand her. She's awful. And I don't, and I felt that my own, there was no reason to be so angry with her. I could see that it was me. I was angry and I was the one like, you're crazy. I mean, I guess I wasn't doing the things or saying the things that she says, but I was feeling totally out of control. Like, I don't ever want to see her. I wish she'd get her or her dog would go fly away. I mean, I just had all those horrible feelings. But what happened, what's been still happening, because it's a process. So I see, it's a moment-to-moment thing now. But I'm not carrying any guilt about it, because I'm holding myself saying, okay, God help me. And I'm still doing, if I'm running around, well, that's like a secondary thing. So then now, this has been this has been about 2 months of realizing how much just made me so mad, and it was her and that stupid dog, and why can't she, And so then I saw that wasn't tenable for me. I didn't like myself at all. I hated myself,
Right.
the way I was trying to respond. So it just inserting that part where you ask the Holy Spirit, it doesn't make everything go away, but it kind of dissipates. So what happened the last time, and actually, I never did not go see her or say anything to her mean. But in my heart, I was like, shit, I have to listen to her again. I was just so angry. So the latest things are that I just went over and sat with her, and when the thing with the dog she kept saying, look, there's a V, oh, he's in the grass, all that, she keeps talking about the dog, and then I said, okay, I'll see you later. I didn't have any, I was not attached to, and I didn't care what she was doing. I realized that if I had to hold myself up in any way, because I was angry, I was the one who was angry and upset and didn't want to be around her anymore, that I was kidding myself, because
Right.
but I don't have to. I think that's where the catch is. Like, the Holy Spirit said, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. You don't have to talk to her. You don't have to you don't have to do anything. And that helped me, because when I was a kid, I was told, you better do this, you better do that, you better. So I didn't have, so that took out, that's like taking the stinger out. Because I thought, I'm going to be plagued with this person the rest of my life, because here I am in my house, and, I'm just going to, every time I hear her talking down the street, can hear every word she says, and the dog's barking hard, and she's going, no, 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 just as hard, and it's kind of ridiculous now. But so then today, what happened, and this felt like progress. When I heard her coming over, and I said to myself, shit. And then I said, well, what's gonna happen? So she just, and then she came over and she said the same things that she always tells me about what her dog loves to come see me, I don't know. But anyway, I didn't go into that. I just said her, okay, how are you doing? Because a lot of me feels like she's like she's in a dangerous mode. Like, don't you, like, you're worried about this person, you know, like that you're worried she's gonna do something, you know, that she's sometimes, that, all of that. I mean, it's so interesting, because I was worried about her, I was worried about me being so angry, having my blood pressure go up and all that kind of stuff. So today, let me just read this and then I'll be done with this. So she says, so it just, it helps to accept it as it is. So, you know, I'm not gonna say, you turn around and go right back home, I can't stand your guts. I'm not gonna say that. I just have to let it, you know, so you ask for help, you keep asking for help until it feels like you're getting help. You know, don't stop. If you don't feel like you're getting help, you just got to keep asking for help. And, so just that, like our, let's see, so if you, when you feel the thought system taking over, when you feel the thought system taking over, you've chosen the ego. If you feel like you're being taken over and somebody's jumped inside of yourself and told you, you know, you're a louse and all that, then that's the time you've chosen the ego. There's no peace, just judgment, and then it goes back and forth. And you can test it this way, it goes back and forth, like, okay, I'm gonna run in the house, okay, I'm not gonna, you know, it's just crazy making. But you just keep testing it, you just keep tested this way, and you follow the peace. And I'll tell you, to just do nothing. Like in the middle of me having a tantrum, I can, like, honestly think of myself sitting quietly and doing nothing. And just watching her dance around with the dog and think, well, that's her and that's the dog, and so here I am, and nothing happened to me. I didn't disintegrate. She didn't kill me or hurt me, nothing happened. It's just an ongoing. So that was helpful, because it helps you to see that in any given moment, whatever the situation seems to be, it's only because you're allowing it to be that, or you're actually helping it be that. So you have a choice to just kind of, and it is about like making a space. All of a sudden there's a little space that you make for whatever, something else besides all this aggravation.
Right.
But you've made this little space because you refuse to get engaged with the negativity in yourself, I suppose. So that's how I felt better about this friend. And you know, I just never really had lost a friend like that, where I got so hot and mad at them that I wish they would just disintegrate. I wish they weren't never lived. I mean, it was really that kind of feeling. Like, you know, why do I have to listen to this? This is ridiculous. This woman is out of her mind with this dog, and she keeps doing all that. But I see that that's her security blanket. It's the way she rolls. Her dog is, and that's all she does. And now it's got me off the hook. I don't feel like if something happens to her, because I kept thinking, how can she have any kind of a good life? All she does is play with this dog and go to work. You know, how can she, you know, this isn't healthy for her. Like, I had this whole list of things I wanted to tell her. Why she should get rid of the dog. Like, and that's my business.
What if it's all okay?
Yes, 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 yes. And it's all a play. It doesn't affect who I really am. And to the degree that it appears to is your identification with the illusion being real.
You just have to work a little. You just have to ask again.
Yeah.
Asking until you
Yeah.
feels like peace.
Yep.
What I took from today's reading, or what came up for me, and I haven't had, this is not new, but, you know, I love the reminders. 'Cause
Yes.
This hasn't come up for a while. But in the line where he says, dreams are chaotic because they are governed by your conflicting wishes. My conflicting wish, and this, the line in the first paragraph where he says, you're outraged by the attack, I think outrage should be in quotes as well.
Well,
Because
you
the
can-
outrage is bullshit,
Mhm.
is bullshit.
Mhm. Well, it's just part of the game.
And
Yeah.
and because because I do want this. So the outrage, and I have been aware of this, the outrage is an act.
Yes.
It's an act.
Yes, which kind of goes back to that concept of I want to be. And so I love the feeling of the outrage. The outrage makes me feel alive.
Yes, yes, exactly, and,
It's
but you
definitely
can
right.
become, you know, I'm becoming more aware during the
Right, the
the
attack.
outrage, that it's, wow, this is, you know, I'm playing this out, but I'm not 100% in this,
Yes.
you know, and, I had an interesting experience last night. I had asked, Jim to come to the park a little earlier the night before. And I wasn't attached to it. I even said to him, no pressure, if you can't make it, you
Right.
know, earlier, that's fine. I wanted to leave earlier. And, he got there like 20 minutes. He was 20 minutes late. And, you know, I didn't, Harvey, I'm sorry, I can't concentrate. So, you know, I had a little bit of a reaction, but it wasn't enough to even ask him what was the purpose of being late. So we sit down and we're talking, and he brings up that he stopped at work. He works at the German club, which they're having Oktoberfest right now. And he stopped at the club before he came down to the park. What the fuck? You know? This is why you're late. This is what, you know, I'm hearing. This is why you're late, you know? And then he starts to go into an explanation of why he stopped at the club. And I realized, and my perception was, oh my God, he feels guilty. And then it was, why don't you just give him a break?
But that's an example of what I said before. You can be in the midst of, you know, you wanted to kill them, right? And then give them a break. And that didn't come
And it
from
was
Rose.
just
Yep,
Gone.
so beautiful.
It was just gone.
Yep.
And then, you know, and we even talked about it. You know, I'm like, did you feel guilty? And he's like, yeah, I had a twinge of guilt because I knew I told you I was gonna come down. You wanted me down here earlier. And I said, yeah, but I told you if you couldn't, it was not a problem.
But
So
it-
see how you make it a problem.
Yes, absolutely.
See how you make it a problem.
Yes. The line in the sand until it gets stepped over.
Right.
And I don't even know what my lines are, let alone who's gonna step on them, but they will step on them or step over them, yeah.
But what, I love the process of this happened in nanoseconds.
Oh, yeah.
And it also, I wasn't 100% invested in what the fuck are you, you know, it was experiencing a little bit of that, but also watching it.
Right, yes.
And then seeing that he feels guilty, I don't, you know, I know what that feels like.
Sure.
It's really crappy.
Sure.
I don't want, you know, I didn't want him to experience that either.
Does that mean you were still experiencing it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and again, if we're both playing the game, it's like this. And then when one of you stops, it's like, wait, which allows that other person the opportunity to choose something different if they want, or find somebody else to do that with. And, you know, somebody was talking about patterns. Well, if I'm addicted to responding like this, guess what? I'm going to keep responding like this. It takes almost like everything you've got to stop and say, no, I'm not going there this time, even for a moment. We're so programmed to respond as kill or be killed. It's in our blood. It's in the thought system that came before our bodies came.
Right, but you've got the conscious and you've got the subconscious.
Well, and then there's that, yes.
So you may understand the course really well at the conscious level, you know, 5% of your brain or 5% of your
Two, no.
time. 5% of your time. The other
Yes.
95% of the time
It's
you're
still
run by your
running.
unconscious, which
Correct.
is kill or be killed survival mode, right?
Yes, sir.
That's why you have to be vigilant.
That's
Yeah,
why you
and-
keep
and-
doing it no matter what happens.
And see, this is why I brought this up, because for me, it's incredibly subtle. This was a very subtle moment, because it wasn't this, you know, I mean, I pound on the walls when I get upset sometimes. So it wasn't that kind of a moment, it was a very internal, what the hell, you know? It was very subtle, but I saw it. And for me, the more you do the practice, the more you will see.
Yep.
And I appreciate the subtle moments because they're gentle. There was nothing horrible about this. It happened so quickly and it was gentle. There was a gentleness to it.
Right. And we have to keep thinking this is like an iceberg. And let me see if I have that picture. I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's here. But anyways, an iceberg, here we go. The iceberg, you know, all we see is this top part, which would be considered the conscious. This is the subconscious. So, you know, this is all I'm aware of. This is what's going on all the time. But as I start chopping away at this, more layers are going to come up, which may, you know, then I can start working on them. I can't fix something down here that I'm not even aware of. But as it keeps rising, I have an opportunity to work on the next layer.
Right, but your karmas are sitting in your unconscious.
Your karmas?
Your karma, yeah, is
Well,
sitting in your unconscious.
Understand that, again, as Rose said, that karma is just part of the illusion. And yes, they're in the subconscious, but we put them in the subconscious, and we want to keep them there. So it's the wanting I want to be me and be an individual and special that's keeping them down.
And the purpose of looking is to make that unconsciousness conscious.
Right, because you're inviting it to be brought to the surface. You're not going to like that it came to the surface and you have to look at it, but if you don't look at it, it's going to stay below the surface.
Right, so if you're looking at it, then you're making sure that you don't have to actually have an experience based on it by pulling something to you karmically that will cause that to come up, right? Because you're looking at it.
Right, I mean, in the process of looking at it, you're becoming aware of what was always there that you weren't consciously aware of before. But eventually, you know, like the icebergs are breaking off now, eventually, as we keep doing this without going through all the insanity of the process that we're going through, some of the chunks are going to start to be falling off because I'm so consciously focused on what it is that I want now. And the only purpose for karma is because I believe in the illusion.
And see, the ego's still there, but now it's in the background.
Right.
Because I'm focused on this side of the
Right,
chart. This
right.
is what I want in this moment. In that moment, that's what I wanted because I
Right.
said no.
Yep.
Nope, not listening to you. I'm seeing him as innocent now. In this moment, he's innocent.
Karma doesn't matter.
Right.
Everything
Right.
disappears. Because
Exactly.
you come into the oneness with the Holy Spirit. And that's a whole enchilada. Like, so if there's
Yep.
karma, well, you're not thinking about that at that time. You're thinking about, you know, peace. That it's peace has kind of seeped in through the cracks all of a sudden. And you go, well, there's no point in going around about karma because who cares at this point? We've got that all figured out. And then you go on to the next idea with the same mindset
Sure.
instead of, oh my God, I've got so much karma to do. I mean, I have friends who tell me about, you know, these people they go to and ask about their future and their past and all that, and to tell them that she's healed so much of her karma and she's still worried about her karma, you know, and she's gonna be 80 years old and still be wondering what to do with her karma, and instead of coming into her oneness, you know, asking for, show me where do I live and then all that other stuff just kind of disappears. It's like you can't have the two thoughts at the same time. You got peace or the thought of karma, which is feels negative. It feels like it's all the shit you don't know about. Well, of course. How can you know what you don't know? I mean, it's kind of like they try to use that to make you scare you again. Like, oh, I've got all this karma to deal with. Well, what if you just dealt with one thing at a time and ask the Holy Spirit on a daily basis to heal you for what that is? Then that's where you'll be instead.
Getting back to
One moment she chose to see it another way.
Sure.
It chose.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm aware I'm not in control of any of this. I'm watching it happen.
Right.
I've watched myself get upset for a moment, see, look at Jim, realize he's, from my perception, he's feeling guilty. That's crappy. I don't want him to feel that way. This all happened in nanoseconds.
Right.
Give him a break. Give him a break gives me a break. And then all I have to do is sit there and listen. I don't have to do a damn thing.
Right.
That's what eats up the karma.
But that
Right.
comes from, I ask for help all the time,
Right, sure.
most of the time.
That comes from looking at the story again and again and again. And then I can get where I can, those gentle nudges, you know? I can't stop the hoo-has like
The
last
hoo-has.
last week getting so involved in being right. Excuse me, I have an issue. Getting so involved in being right and having to be with that, be with the pain of, whoa, you know, that don't feel right, you know? It, shit, like, you know, shitty diaper, smelly stuff, right, walking around the street. I needed to be right, and then seeing, then, you know, stepping back and talk about help. To me, help means looking at, being with it, and it coming back for me with a, this is what it means, this is how it looks. You know, the wanting someone else to feel wrong, and then being in a situation where I'm feeling totally out of place, wrong, and, you know, being there with that and seeing, wow, that's me. Again, looking in the mirror, wow, I tried to push this, project this out to someone else, and this is what it is, and that's me. This is where I live all the time, feeling like I don't belong, I'm doing it wrong. You know, I got the information all backwards. Wow.
Okay.
Then I can have some compassion, and I'm seeing again, pushing my innocence, my innocence away.
All
You know,
the
I don't
time.
give a damn
Yep.
about that, I just wanna be right.
Right. And you know, kind of going back to Kathleen's situation there, understand that when we chose to separate from the love of God, okay, which we believe, though he doesn't believe, we thought we did something so horrific we don't deserve to be loved ever again. And we're expecting, because of projection, God to come and get us. And since we have no access to God because we closed the door, we're waiting for this to come and get us. Because that's, again, part of the setup of the illusion. So there's a part of us that wants desperately for that, whatever that is, to come and get me. And it's because of the thought that I hold in my mind of separation, not about the person. Though it feels like the person, and absolutely it's horrifying and painful when someone's in your face yelling and screaming and calling you names or whatever. That's just not a fun experience. No way, no matter how you look at it. But as we settle down, step back, and really look at what the whole content of what that experience is on a higher level, at least in that moment you can intellectually get it. And as you keep asking for healing, you'll come to a point where even in the midst of that, I could respond from love. And again, I give the example a bazillion times about Jesus dying on the cross from the perspective of the Course. All those horrible things were being done to him, but his mind was totally focused in who he really was. So nothing they did, said, or the way they acted could take his peace away.
You see, he saw himself not as a body.
Well, yes,
And
because
that's
he
where
was
we get into
totally
all
aligned,
our
right?
trouble,
Absolutely.
is seeing this thing
Right.
looking back at us
Right.
as a body.
Yep. And you know, this is across the board for everybody. In some form or another, this is being played out. And it never feels right. You know, I give the example all the time, unless it's below the belt, it's not really a classroom. Because if it hits in your face, then, you know, I naturally respond as good little egos do. Yes.
I just wanna say, it's another little instant for me.
All right, we like holy instance.
Because, like, I really thought she was the wild stallion.
It's really you, yes.
Which is a big flip for me, because if I look at everything in my life across the board, I'm the wild
Beautiful,
mind is
beautiful.
Just all over the place with everything, so it's kind
Yes.
of like a landing place. I'm a visual person. It's a landing place for me to start. I mean, before I get to the good stuff, I guess, where I'm like Jesus. But for me to recognize that I'm the, and I love horses, so I
Right.
used to watch the Black Stallion.
All right.
But I'm
Yeah.
that. I'm
Yes.
kind of visual of that.
Yeah.
I'm that all over the place in my life. Because I'm all over the place in reaction to every little thing that happens.
Yes.
And there's no peace there, but it's just
Right.
such a great visual. Anyway, it feels like a mini.
Beautiful.
instant for me.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Right.
Excellent, excellent.
And those are the kinds of awarenesses that will come to the surface as we keep practicing this more and more diligently. Suddenly, the pieces come together, and it's like, whoa, all right, that makes sense to me. And that's beautiful, in my opinion. Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah, yeah.
Can I ask you to interpret paragraph on page 4 for me, please?
Page 4, sure.
Paragraph 15.
And let us see what that's on. Are you talking about the miracle principles?
Yes.
Okay, so each day should be devoted to miracles. The purpose of time is to enable you to learn how to use time constructively. It is thus a teaching device and a means to an end. Time will cease when it is no longer useful in facilitating learning. Okay, so basically what the Course would talk about time is our space to learn this course, okay? And let me see, here we
I
go.
guess my question would be about time ceasing.
Well, all right, I just happen to have a chart here now. All right, think about this as ticking of time, okay? Every moment the seconds of the clock tick. So in a holy instant, which is described as a moment when you're basically getting out of the way and you're asking to see this differently, you're actually rising above time. And then when you come back, you've actually collapsed the moments of time that would have taken place while you were literally out of time and space, because the holy instant is out of time and space. So the Course talks about the idea of collapsing time, and the more we spend in the holy instant, the less we have to really do ourselves, which can take care of some of your karma there, Jason. Okay, so literally a holy instant is described as a moment out of time and space. Now it happens so quickly most of the time, you don't even realize that you've been out of time and space, but actually you're collapsing time, which is a major healing experience. Okay, and what?
It feels like you've escaped from.
Well,
from
yeah,
all the-
you
from
have
all the stuff in
escaped.
your head. It all
Right.
comes together in one holy instant where you get it, like you feel that drop away, that pressure, that
Yep.
feeling that you've done something wrong.
And think about this. Let me get the dots because you're new. I want to show you. Okay, so there's this dot. Okay, we all have a dot that belongs up here somewhere. And we're either aligned with me, this character, or I'm above the battleground up here in the decision maker, and I'm observing my character, in regard to other characters in the world. Okay, so if I'm down here, I continue to push time out like a carpet. When I am here, any moment that I spend here, I'm actually collapsing time and I'm the observer of what's going on in the play. And so when I'm up here, this is good, down here, not so good. This is the place we want to spend most of our time, or at least encourage ourselves to spend more and more time there, because that's where the healing happens. When I'm above the battleground, I am not the character any longer. I'm the observer of the character. Right. Off the wheel, correct.
Could
Yeah.
I often have, so my concept back then was when I was seeing my neighbor and getting upset and running in the house,
Right.
I was on the wheel of time. I was
Absolutely you were.
I was like running away someplace. I lived
Yep.
in that house, she knows where I live.
Right.
It was just so ridiculous. It was such a an unusual feeling for me to be running away. So that was time rolling out for me. Like, oh my God, she is, what am I gonna do? And then the opposite of that was when I kept asking the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit said, you know,
Correct.
you could be in your house, you don't have to go. Like, there was all this kind of nurturing going on to me, toward me, that I didn't really, I wasn't being hateful, I was just playing through something. It was
Right.
like a play I was
You know,
playing.
Andrea, I think that, one of the things, that I've heard from you in the past is that, you have this idea of who you were supposed to be in the world.
Absolutely.
And
Right.
this situation is challenging that.
Yes.
Exactly, because I never thought of myself as getting anger with anybody.
Yep.
Who was, kind of like forgive this, like going for the underdog, right? I always thought, like the person who was having a hard time, I would be the one to help them, right?
Sure. And you were a good girl because you did it.
Right.
Gotta add that.
So that was me rolling out time for Jesus all the time. Like, okay,
Yep.
now what are we doing? Okay, I'll do that. No, I'm not gonna do that because that's wrong. Instead, I have my own feelings of my karma being played out, I guess, that I didn't really like her. I didn't like this. I didn't like the job. I didn't like myself. So it was like I like what we do with ourselves, our neighbor, and God.
All
I
the
was mad at
same.
everybody. I was totally in the shits. I was mad at everybody. And I could feel that. It was very distasteful and very upsetting.
Yes.
And I thought, God's not gonna help me out of this. This is terrible. But I
Yes.
kept asking, and then little by little, I'm seeing that like all those edges, like there are all these edges, like these knives are, going in me, all these different edges. And then little by little now, when I see her, I don't have that charge. And so that's,
Yep.
I don't care where she is now. So that's a holy instant to me. I'm not even involved in it.
You're not involved. You never were, you just thought you were.
I know, I don't have to be involved,
Yep.
and I don't have to be mean about it, and I don't have to be anything. I don't have to like it. I just can be like neutral. I can just be who I am. So to me, that's a wonderful holy instant at this point. And it took a while though.
Yeah.
It took me a while to
Indeed,
get with that situation, but I guess they're all different.
I know you for 30 years, 20, 30 years now. I always know you to invoke the Holy Spirit. What's that? Clear light of God. What's that phrase?
Yeah, I did a good job. I raised my son with that, and he's okay. Yeah, but there's more to it. There's more to it. Yeah, there's more to it. Like, this side is showing me that it's always there for me to ask.
Right.
And that's what I have to do. I can't say, I can say the affirmations, and I do believe them, but then there's a point where they don't work with, I could say that I love my neighbor, I love my neighbor, I love my neighbor, and the whole time I'm like, can't she get rid of that frickin' dog? I don't know, I can't take this.
And
She's
this,
gotta fix something before I'm gonna love her.
well, and isn't that true with everybody on the planet? Okay? So the other thing I want to comment on, understand people that when we chose for this operation, we chose for time and space. Okay? So literally, except for that small part of our mind that still is remembering this, our whole world is in time and space and the carpet is rolling out. It is only when we become conscious enough to step up and observe the play going on that healing can possibly occur. It's the only place. And in that paragraph that you asked about, Dale, it says each day should be devoted to miracles. He's saying you have the opportunity, now you have the tools. Each day should be devoted to the miracles. And the purpose of time is to enable you to learn how to use time constructively. And how do you use time constructively? You choose the miracle more frequently. It is thus a teaching device and a means to an end. And it's the end of this dream, ultimately. Then he says, time will cease when it is no longer useful in facilitating learning. So the time will completely release because this is timeless.
There is no time.
Yeah.
And the holy instant erases time and space.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. And be very aware, obviously, we're all very addicted to time and space.
Yes.
Why would I want to get out of the way to be shown something else when I believe this is who and what I am? That's very threatening and frightening for the ego. But as you practice it more and more, you realize that I didn't get hit with hit with lightning when I got out of the way. And you know what? Something shifted in my world, and or I have an experience like what Rose shared, where all of a sudden I didn't need to attack my brother any longer.
You don't need it, I don't need it anymore.
No.
For some
And
reason, you
it's-
just don't need it, which is,
Yep.
it feels like like anathema, like you're supposed to keep needing everything,
Yeah, but again, understand, as I give the example of the chart of the hero of the dream, this is what the ego's used to, all this conflict and confusion and insanity. Well, this is the answer. Okay, so that's kind of threatening for me. Whoa, it's so threatening, I'm gonna fall over. So, this is just really not real comfortable for us, and that's why he's asking throughout the course, all I want is the little willingness in any given moment when the terror is beyond your capacity to handle. Ask me for help, and as you do that, that will culminate into the happy dream. Go ahead.
Because that all of a sudden that Rose experienced was because
Absolutely.
she's been bringing
Absolutely.
her willingness and her asking for help over and over
Absolutely,
again. And then
yes.
you get to the point where. what
There
was
it
that?
is.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and people will often say, but I didn't even ask for help. Well, no, you didn't in that instant, but boy, you had that bank account going, and it's just gonna,
And
yeah.
it takes over
Yes.
after a while.
Yes, yes.
You know?
It's just like learning any skill. I mentioned at the beginning of the class, learning how to play the piano. Eventually, you can sit down in front of that piano and just, it plays
You
you.
don't think about it.
Exactly, and that's exactly the same thing that will continue to occur as we keep practicing the course. As I keep making that my top priority, I'm saying, that's what I want, that's what I want. And just like we all drove here today, probably most of us did at least, you didn't think about getting in the car and where do I put my hands and what do I do? You probably don't remember even driving here. It's so automatic. And that's exactly what this practice is about as well. All right, let us take a deep breath and we will end the class. Forgive us our illusions, Father, and help us to accept our true relationship with you, in which there are no illusions and where none can ever enter. Our holiness is yours. What can there be in us that needs forgiveness when yours is perfect? The sleep of forgetfulness is only the unwillingness to remember your forgiveness and your love. Let us not wander into temptation, for the temptation of the Son of God is not your will. And let us receive only what you have given, and accept but this into the minds that you've created and which you love. Amen. So keep putting the coin in the right bank account, and you will start to get investments on your account. Amen. See you guys next time.
Okay. Hey.
You're welcome.